It was one of those nights when the world outside felt heavy, like it carried a secret. The rain had started in the early evening, soft and steady, but by the time the clock struck midnight, it had grown into a relentless downpour. I was alone in my small suburban house, a modest place tucked into the edge of a quiet neighborhood. My parents were out of town for the weekend, leaving me to revel in the rare solitude. Or so I thought. The house was silent except for the rhythmic tapping of rain against the windows. I had decided to binge-watch horror movies, a choice I would later regret. The dim light of the TV cast long shadows across the room, and every now and then a flash of lightning illuminated the living room in stark white light, making the shadows dance. The first sign that something was wrong came just as the protagonist in the movie was investigating a creaking noise. A loud, deliberate knock echoed through the house. My heart skipped a beat. I paused the movie and sat motionless, listening. The knock came again, louder this time. It was coming from the front door. I hesitated. Who could possibly be at my door at this hour, in this storm? My neighborhood wasn't the kind of place where people dropped by unannounced, especially not past midnight. Against my better judgment, I got up and approached the door, my socked feet silent on the hardwood floor. "Who is it?" I called out, my voice betraying a nervous tremor. There was no answer, only the sound of rain and the occasional rumble of thunder. I stood there for a moment, debating whether to open the door. Another knock, more insistent, made up my mind. I decided to look through the peephole. What I saw made my blood run cold. A man stood on the porch, drenched from head to toe. His face was partially obscured by the hood of his raincoat, but what I could see was enough to unsettle me. His eyes were wide and unblinking, and his lips were curled into a faint, unnatural smile. "Can I help you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I need to use your phone," he replied, his voice muffled but firm. Every instinct I had screamed at me to say no, to walk away and lock every door and window in the house. "Sorry, I can't help you," I said, stepping back from the door. The man's smile faltered, replaced by a look of quiet irritation. He knocked again, harder this time, the sound reverberating through the house. "Please," he said, his tone now sharper. I didn't reply. Instead, I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest. I went to the living room and turned off the TV, plunging the house into darkness. I hoped that if he thought no one was home, he would leave. But then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of footsteps moving around the house. He was circling the property. I crept to the kitchen window, staying low, and peered out through the blinds. Another flash of lightning illuminated the yard, and I saw him standing at the back door, staring directly at me. I ducked down, my breathing shallow and rapid. A loud bang erupted from the back door. He was trying to force it open. My mind raced as I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. The operator answered, and I whispered my address and the situation. She assured me that officers were on their way, but I couldn't shake the feeling that they wouldn't arrive in time. Another bang, louder this time, followed by the sound of splintering wood. He was inside. I ran upstairs, my feet barely touching the ground, and locked myself in my bedroom. My hands shook as I pushed my dresser in front of the door. I could hear his heavy footsteps on the stairs, slow and deliberate. Each step felt like the ticking of a clock, counting down to some inevitable horror. "I just want to talk," he called out, his voice now a mockery of politeness. "Why are you hiding?" I grabbed the heaviest thing I could find, a metal lamp, and stood near the door, ready to defend myself. The footsteps stopped just outside my room. For a moment there was silence, and then the doorknob rattled. "Let me in," he said, his voice dripping with menace. I held my breath, praying he would go away, but instead he began pounding on the door. The dresser shook with each impact, and I could hear the wood beginning to splinter. Just as I thought the door would give way, The sound of sirens filled the air. The pounding stopped, and for a brief moment, there was silence. Then I heard the sound of him retreating down the stairs. I moved the dresser and peered out the window. Flashing red and blue lights bathed the street, and 2 officers were approaching the house with their weapons drawn. They found him hiding in the backyard, trying to climb the fence. He was arrested without incident, but the look he gave me as they led him away chilled me to my core. His eyes locked onto mine, and that unsettling smile returned. I've never felt truly safe in that house again. To this day, I can still see his face in my nightmares, smiling that twisted smile as he whispered,